So for everybody watching, I'm here with Mike and Maci Berkeley in Sierra Madre, northern Mexico, up in the mountains. We're what elevation here? About 9,000 feet?
Only 7,000.
Only 7,000. Okay, so that's not too bad. I feel it though.
It feels like 9, huh?
You'll notice
like
it's an October morning, and we've got our jackets on.
Yeah, it is a little chilly this morning, so but it's good. It's really a neat place. I've enjoyed spending the last couple of days with you guys. I just want to hear a little bit about your story, because you guys are the founders of this hospital, right? And so how did it all begin for you guys?
Well, it sort of all started in the late 80s when I was an established orthopedic surgeon in Aspen. And I was basically on my way to fame and fortune. My debts were paid off. I had money in the bank that was growing. I was building a name for myself on the lecture circuit. So I was sort of on my way to becoming a famous knee surgeon. And Aspen was really a great place to launch a career as a sports medicine physician.
Sure.
I was a physician for the U.S. ski team, and I had patents for gizmos used to rebuild knee ligaments, and so I should have felt a great deal of satisfaction in terms of what I had done, with my life. But literally, I remember very well, I was at a medical meeting in San Francisco, and I was literally one night walking the streets of San Francisco in the dark, all alone, thinking, this isn't what I want to do with my life. I do not want, he fixed a lot of knees carved on my tombstone. And that started a search, and I ended up working part-time for Mercy ships on the hospital ship Anastasis. And I remember there working in it was the port city of Zihuatanejo on the Pacific coast, and I was doing crippled children. I was running their clubfoot and other birth deformity clinic for Mercy ships. And I had something about my past issues. Ever since I was a teenager, I woke up every morning clinically depressed. It was just something in my biochemistry. I knew it would pass. I knew it said, okay, it's going to be terrible for the next 20 minutes. I just got to put up with it. And then it would go away. And I'd go back to sort of my usual, not quite happy self, but that was sort of how I lived life. And a weird thing happened in Zihuatanejo. The first morning I woke up and I was happy. And that was so weird. And every morning subsequent, I've woken up happy. And every morning subsequent for the past 30 years, I have woken up happy. So, I mean, for me, this was sort of a transformation. Chance, maybe, but I don't know what happened to my brain chemistry. But I was happy in the work. I was happy, this mixture of medical care, presenting the gospel to people. And I remember talking to God, saying, Lord, I hope this is your plan for my life. Because if it's not, you have played a cruel joke on me. And anyway, Maci and I talked about it. We really did not want to raise our kids on a ship. And the ship also went off to Africa. I didn't want to go to Africa. And, I had spent part of my childhood in Mexico. My grandparents were West Texas ranchers that owned a ranch in Mexico outside Chihuahua. My dad actually grew up in Mexico. And so I basically started wandering around Mexico. And it's sort of a long story, but I was trying to avoid Chihuahua. It's not a very pretty city in the middle of the desert. I was trying to look for, more attractive places. But God led me to a little Christian hospital run by a small group of Christian docs in Chihuahua. They just finished construction. They didn't have hardly a piece of equipment at all. So basically, in 1988, and I was practically to the day from today, I arrived into Chihuahua with my first load of equipment for the hospital, and for the next 10 years, I ran a crippled children's program there. I would bounce back and forth between my practice in Colorado and Chihuahua. Logged over 1,000 surgeries. But if you live in Chihuahua, you get to learn about the Tarahumara Indians. They live up here in the mountains. They would occasionally come down. I would come up in outreaches to the mountains and to find people. So you got to learn about them, and you realize this is the poorest people group in Mexico, and they're also the closest unreached people group to the United States. There are very few Tarahumara believers, and I was saying they're an animist people. They still have their animist religion, and animism's a very common religion in the world, perhaps the most common, and it's usually syncretistic, mixed with Islam or Christianity or something. But the common theme is, there's a big creator God who's busy. Don't bother him. You might get mad, so leave him alone. The world is filled with smaller spirits that inhabit trees and rocks and stuff. These can affect you. They can hurt your kids. They can hurt your animals. They can interfere with your crop. So just spend your time appeasing these smaller spirits. So the Tarahumaras live in fear. And so a group of us in Chihuahua decided the Sierra Madre needs a hospital dedicated to the care of the Tarahumaras. And so we got together and started work, and in 1998 we started construction. And actually, I should say preliminary construction like the foundation, but in 1999 a group of Amish builders arrived to build our hospital. And
that we didn't know.
Yes, yeah. And this is a story, Dave Barry, the humorous writer, says this is not a lie when he's about to tell a story. And so I'll tell the story. It is not a lie. This is exactly how it happened. I was in my office in Chihuahua, and we had found this land that we're on now, right in the heart of the Tarahumara area. And we come to an agreement with the community over its purchase, and then into my office walked 2 Amish men and 3 of their daughters. And this is like a postcard from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Big hats, long beards, these teenage daughters in the hole, get up and of course, if you're sitting in Mexico, this looks horribly out of place. And they said I looked at them sort of funny. We have revisited this meeting many times, and they said I looked at them sort of strangely, and I said, yeah. And they said, Dr. Berkeley, we understand you wish to build a hospital in the mountains. I go, yeah. And they said, we wish to build it for you. Really? And pretty much the conversation was over then. They were headed back to the States. We agreed to communicate later. And that night, I and one of the other doctors drew out the plans for the hospital on a napkin and faxed it off to them in North Carolina, where they were from. And they showed up in the spring of 1999 to start building. They brought 3 families. Now that's about 30 people when you're Amish. And for the next 6 months, they built that hospital.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, it is. And when they left, they basically left it in a drywall stage. And we had to finish out the rest of the stuff. But anyway, that's how we ended up here.
And then other unknown people stepped in. An electrician that we didn't know from Arizona came in every, 6 weeks for a week for almost 2 years and wired it to American specifications for American, medical equipment.
Well, not for 2 years. He
Long
came
time.
over the period of like 6 months and intensively wired the whole place. And
then a cabinet maker showed up from Arizona and said, "You're going to need a lot of cabinets." And I kind of looked around and said, "Yeah, I guess I am." He said, "Oh, I'll build them for you." So I mean, the whole construction, the whole fact that this place exists is just literally one series of miracles after another. Really kind of silly miracles. Just kind of what?
That's awesome. Let me ask you, what have been your biggest challenges, maybe personally and professionally, in launching a ministry this size? Because this is not a small thing here.
No, it's a rather huge thing, and it sort of grew like a tumor. I originally, when I started this thing, thought, I had the clinic in Chihuahua, and we owned a home in Chihuahua City, which is 200 miles away, and I thought, well, I'll just bounce back and forth. But the work here grew so fast that we had to leave Chihuahua and go full time here. Number one problem has been people. It's hard to find people willing to make long-term commitments to a place this isolated.
Sure.
People do come and they see the beauty of the place, but they come and they stay, and the darkness starts to get them. This is spiritually a very dark place. And if they're not really called to be here, then they just don't survive. And we've had some very unfortunate episodes with some of our people. My original partner in this project, the Mexican physician who built the hospital in Chihuahua, was supposed to be co-equal with me on this. He was supposed to be hospital director. And let's just say he fell into great sin of which he was unrepentant and did not submit to the discipline of his church. And I had to ask him to leave. And that was
heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking. I mean, this was my buddy. I mean, when I always figured when I wrote my autobiography, it would have his name in it. Me and Joe. And so I've had challenges like that over the years, having to deal with people. Fortunately, Maci deals with people a lot better than I do. As I always say, I do my best work on people who are asleep. I never thought I would be the one to actually run this place, and that's just the way it worked out.
One of the things that impressed me is when I was driving to the town yesterday, really the level of poverty here is, to me, very, very close to even Haiti and some of the poorest things I've seen in this hemisphere. It was really very. I can see where it is a very dark place, and a place of such incredible need. I can see why the Lord put you in this particular place. Where's the closest medical care from here outside of this hospital?
Anyway, the closest health care is 60 miles to the south on an okay highway. Takes about an hour and a half to get there. And unfortunately, the level of care is not that great. And oftentimes we transport people, like a woman that needs a C-section, for example, because our general surgeons don't like to do C-sections unless it's really urgent. We send it to the government hospital, but it's staffed maybe by an OB-GYN resident, maybe. And so we're not necessarily sending people to a better level of care. And a lot of times we do send people to Chihuahua, and sometimes they go in our air ambulance. But even then, it's not as if saying that their ICU is better than our ICU. And we struggle with this, because sometimes we transport people knowing that, gosh, maybe they're not going to benefit from care. But something we have to deal with in the Mexican system is the bureaucracy.
Sure.
Officially, Chihuahua is the referral center, and certain patients have to go there, even if we can provide a better level of care.
It's got to be really challenging. Tell me, well, you've talked about some of your challenges. What have been your biggest blessings here?
Oh, we have so many, and sometimes when you're facing challenges, you just have to step back and just say, wait just a second, let's look at all the good stuff here, rather than focus on a problem. We have the best medical facility for 200 miles. We have some of the most highly skilled people for 200 miles. We have been able to take care of thousands and thousands of Tarahumara Indians with serious illnesses, deformities, and injuries, and I've been able to do it with some, with the best team in the world, and some, people that have just, we have stood side by side and tackled these challenges. So I would say the team has been one of our best blessings. And then, we see progress with the Tarahumaras. The Tarahumaras are less than 1% Christian. They are a tough people group. They are unreached for a reason. Even though they're poor, and the poorest group in Mexico, they are proud. I mean, they really, in their worldview, think they are the chosen people of God, and we are outsiders.
We're the children of Satan, so
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't listen to us.
Right. We are the descendants of Satan, and they are the descendants of Jesus. That is their theology. And so it takes time to work your way into this culture, and it takes a lot of work, and you work on learning their language, and you care for them, and you pray for them, and you show them the love of God, and tell them about Jesus, and you don't see a lot of fruit, but you start to see cracks in the walls. That's one thing. Every missionary that works here among the Tarahumara says, gosh, in the last 20 years, there are cracks in the wall. We see it happening. So we pray for this flood to start as this dam breaks. But there seems to be a greater receptivity to the gospel.
That's great.
And so we just keep plugging away. This is not a place to come if you like to see 100 people come forward and receive Christ. That doesn't happen here. We pray it would, but so far it's never happened. This is a place where your motivation just has to be not, I want to get up this morning and bring someone to Christ. It has to be, I want to get up this morning and obey God and honor Him and show people His glory. And what they do with that is really God's business, not yours.
That's good. What about you, Maci? What have been your biggest blessings here?
Well, yeah, I really have seen changes. Sometimes changes happen so slowly that it takes you a while to notice that there's been a change. But it used to be, when we first came, there was no eye contact at all. They would never make eye contact. They wouldn't respond to you if you said hello, even if you said hello in Tarahumara. It was just this huge wall. And that really has changed. And I believe that medicine has been one of those things that has really kind of cracked that worldview that, if you're really a horrible person, and it's not Americans, it's others. And others includes all Mexicans. It includes anyone who is not Tarahumara. So others were Chabochis. And Chabochis are bad. They're the children of Satan. So you just shouldn't really probably listen to anything they have to say, especially about, God and things, the important things. You really shouldn't listen to them, right? And, but if I bring my baby in and I've already lost half my babies, so I know what a dying baby, I know what this looks like, and you pull that baby out, and it doesn't die. Or I bring my blind grandma in, who I'm trying to take care of in an area with no water and no sanitation, no bathrooms. I mean, this is not a pretty picture. And you fix her eyes such that now she can see, and that doesn't just change her life, that changes my life. That just can't help but change the worldview. Absolutely. Because it just, it makes what you've been told not true. Well, if this isn't true, maybe this could be true over here, that maybe this Jesus guy, maybe there's something to it. So, and just the whole trust, it's just taken, it takes a long time. But I mean, if I walk in the waiting room, people look at me, they smile at me. If I say hi, they say hi. Sometimes they'll say hi first, and it's just a radical 180 change in that area. And it really is. It's wonderful. So.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for taking time out to share a little bit of your experience here. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Cut.